Are we live? Oh, goodness, we are live. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So, with that being said, give me a half a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping somebody's already in there. I'm still learning what I'm trying to do. I would like to learn how to give you guys the intro and outro and pictures with this YouTube Lives. I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. I'm just trying to finish a quick thing. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Thanks for showing up. Give me just one more moment and I'll be ready. All right, that is dealt with. That is pinned. Nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I'm back. Welcome. I apologize off the get-go. I am still learning technology and I have not figured out how to do an intro or outro during a live segment yet, or how to do pictures. So I will not be having any imagery to go with today's conversation. But if you're interested to see any imaging or videos, you're more than welcome to look at other YouTube videos that I have, or any pictures on my social media that is throughout my story. Of course, my Facebook has the most stuff as far as imaging goes, because I've had Facebook long before any other platform. So you can find videos and pictures of me early on in life as a child, teenager, early adulthood, into surgery of 2022, and then into the cancer crap and chemo until now. So speaking of chemo, today is January 31st, 2026, and I am now 3 years chemo free. This time 3 years ago, give or take a few hours, I was sitting in the local oncologist office, and during that day, I'll just cut to the chase. During that day and that appointment, they had told me that the 130 days straight of chemotherapy that I was doing, a targeted chemo, didn't work. The tumors grew, they multiplied, and now I have over 12 tumors inside of me because, in my opinion, the treatment poked the bear and made things worse. Before I get into context of all this, I want to do a quick disclaimer that everything talked about in today's video or any of my channels or posts is all my personal experience, my personal journey, my trial and errors, and my successes. None of this is actually medical advice. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just talking about what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me, and everything in between. You're more than welcome to ask any questions in the comments, and I will answer as I can. For those of you that know me, hello, welcome back. For those of you that are new, my name is Anthony Hayduck, and my channel name is now called Chemo to Carnivore. I am now a 34-year-old male, but this journey officially started when I was 30, going into 31, as far as surgery and diagnosis. We'll get to that in a second. I'll just do a quick summary of my story. But in reality, this journey started long before then. I'm just drinking my water. Before I get into my journey, though, I'll read my electric collection question. First of all, it says, just watch your interview with Carrie on Healing Humanity. Your story is inspiring. I was diagnosed with cancer a month ago. No treatments yet. I've been studying Seaford's work. God bless. And then the next question is thoughts on PET scans. So how do I pin this? So first of all, I'm learning. Actually, I don't know how to pin this. Anyways, first of all, my condolences for having to get a diagnosis. It's definitely not fun to deal with. But with that being said, I will say mindset is everything. If you're positive and you do your research and become your own advocate, you're going to have a lot better chance. And the fact that you're already studying Professor Seaford's work you're ahead of most of the world as far as cancer patients or cancer treatments in general. He is a phenomenal guy. I wish I found him sooner than I did. But by the time I found him, I already had done 130 days of treatment that, really, part of my language, fucked up my body. Almost killed me many a times. But your question is thoughts on PET scans. I myself am highly against PET scans. And in reality, I don't like imagery of any type, really. And the reason why I say PET scans initially is every time I've done a PET scan, I've been very, very sick for days after the fact. And I found out, I don't know the exact scientific names of the material used to inject, but PET scans is basically a sugar-based substance. Well, guess what? Cancer, tumors, and sugar, they don't mix. Cancer loves sugar. And that is how PET scans light up like a Christmas tree with tumors, is because that sugar goes straight to the tumors because that's what their fuel source is, or one of their fuel sources, and it lights up so they can see the image and to pull the measurements. So what's dumb about that is, why would you put any fuel source or any extra fuel source to something that eats it, that's in a negative way? So like, I myself, I'm 30, well, tomorrow I'll be 31 months into carnivore, and occasionally I cheated on my diet or my way of eating. I'm never proud of it, but I'm always honest. But when you put extra sugar into your system, for one, that causes inflammation, and for two, it's going to feed the cancer. And again, if you just listen right there, I said the cancer, not your cancer, not my cancer. Don't ever claim it. Words are powerful. Speak of it as a different thing besides you. You know what I mean? I haven't done a PET scan in a couple of years. I've been doing CT multiphases for a couple of years, and then recently I have switched to MRIs. The reason why I myself don't like imaging is, anytime you put a substance into your body that's not a normal substance, your body has to fight it of some type. And even with CTs or MRIs, I don't have a crazy reaction to them, but I don't feel good during them, and I don't feel good afterwards for a day or two. I really hydrate a bunch with, I probably drink a gallon of water after the MRI, and then I go to the sauna and sweat all that shit back out and rehydrate again, because I just don't like the way those injections feel with me. But blood work, if you could find a doctor or a naturopathic or a cancer nutritionalist that actually understands blood work, but if you could do blood work, you will see in your blood work before you'll see an imaging, because an imaging is a second thing. You'll tell through your blood work if the tumors are being fed or not fed, and then the image will just verify it. So in my case, how do I phrase this? When I first quit chemo and was learning all these different diets, I had started seeing a naturopathic doctor. And at that point in time, in my blood, per 7.5 milliliters of blood, I had one tumor cell floating through, one cancer tumor cell floating through my blood per 7.5 milliliters, which that's not that much blood to have tumor cell in, you know what I mean? And throughout these different diets and supplements, etc., that one tumor cell per 7.5 milliliters stayed there until I went carnivore based and hopped on mistletoe injections. And then ever since then, between mistletoe and carnivore, I've showed 0 tumor cells per 7.5 milliliters of blood, which is amazing. Mistletoe was a experimental drug from Europe. I was using it through a naturopathic doctor. I just stabbed myself Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the sides of my guts with this experimental drug, all natural, had to pay out of pocket for it. I was on it for 2 years. It was definitely helping. I felt amazing. I felt invincible. My blood work was really good during that time. And then recently, this last September, a few months ago, on my 2-year anniversary of using mistletoe, I finally stopped taking it cold turkey and didn't even tell my doctor. And the reason why I didn't tell him, I was embarrassed because I didn't have the money to buy it anymore. So, I mean, I finally told him now. I was like, hey, I stopped using it because I can't afford it. It was expensive. Insurance doesn't cover it. So I actually go see the naturopathic doctor come February to go over some more blood work to see on if it's recommended to hop back on or not, because I definitely don't want to jeopardize myself. But anyways, I'm going to go back to the beginning real quick because I kind of got carried away. Speaking of which, I'm not advertising, but this is a heavy tumbler. The Heavy Cup makes it. This thing weighs 10 pounds. It's good exercise all day long drinking water or coffee, but I don't drink coffee. So anyways, for those of you that are new to me, my name is Anthony Hayduck. I am now a 34-year-old male. My story slash journey really started back in 2022. Sometime in April or May of 2022, I collapsed at work. I was a tree climber. Oh, wrong sweatshirt. I worked I was basically an arborist, working for a local tree service company for 12 years. Climb, fall, run brush, whatever needed done. I did it, super physically active. And April or May of 2022, collapsed at work, passed out. My coworkers called my parents because I didn't want ambulance coming to get me. My parents took me to the hospital, and they did an image and found I had a softball-sized tumor inside of my guts and intestines. And flash forward a few months, July of 2022, they cut me open basically from my hip bone to my sternum, lower my rib cage, and I have about a 10-inch scar, give or take. And they removed the softball-sized tumor out of my stomach, or off my stomach, whatever. I'm missing about a quarter to a third of my stomach and intestines from the surgery, and they also pulled a small section of my liver off with another tumor to see if, the biopsy matched up. And mind you, prior to this aggressive surgery, I had already done an endoscopy where they went down the throat and they tried to biopsy it from the inside out, and it came back as benign, non-cancerous. They didn't know what it was, though. So that's why we proceeded with the surgery. I was 30 at the time. I was in the hospital 7 to 9 days in another city, really nice hospital. They did a good job on me. I had a day or two of physical therapy to learn how to walk again because my left leg didn't really want to work after surgery because they cut through, nerves and other stuff. And when I'd walk, I could feel it in my guts, which that's a weird feeling. So with all that being said, flash forward to my 31st birthday, September 9th, 2022. Walked into the local cancer center in my hometown to talk about the biopsies because the results finally came in of, biopsying the actual tumor once it was outside of me. The oncologist told me it was a GIST, G-I-S-T, stands for gastrointestinal stromal tumor. With that being said, GIST is a rare, I hate the word rare, but GIST is a unique, rare type of cancer. And depending on what mutations you deal with, depends on how aggressive it can be, according to what I was told by the doctor. So with that being said, I was told I should find a GIST specialist because it's such a rare type of cancer. Insurance won't cover it, so I kept it with the local oncologist. On that appointment, the very first day when I was told I have stage 4 because the tumor in the stomach matched up to the liver tumor, so it had metastasized, is the proper word, from stomach to liver, which made it stage 4. During which I had the guts to ask the oncologist, what's your educated guess for length of time for me to live? And I asked that question because I lost my father in 2019, my biological father, from stage 4 In 2019, I lost my biological father to stage 4 throat cancer that transferred to bone, and he was gone within a few months' time. From the time he got diagnosed to the time he passed away, I think it was like 4 or 5 months tops. With that being said, that is why I asked the oncology. I'm like, hey, what's my timeline? I want to make sure I get all my ducks in a row just in case. I don't want somebody else to have to deal with my mess. I need to be responsible for myself. Her educated guess was 6 months of life. And I asked her why she said that. And she's like, well, looking through your records real quick, you're 31 now. You just had surgery. You did surgery because they were benign tumors. The surgeon could have poked a bear by doing surgery, because what I've realized and what she told me and what I've learned also since then is the tumor has a sac around it. It's in a tumor cell for a reason. And if you miss a little piece, you biopsy it, poke the bear, it's going to have spillage. That is cancerous cells escaping out of the safety sac and spreading to other parts of the body, etc. So, that put some worry into me, because I was like, oh, did the surgeon do a good job? Did she leave something? I was like, did it poke the bear, etc. And then furthermore, this was the big surprise. It kind of backtracks a little bit, but when I was 26, I had my gallbladder removed. That would have been like, 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. Well, going back to imaging, when I had the gallbladder removed, that softball-sized tumor in 2022 that they removed, back when I was 26 years old, when I had my gallbladder removed, that fucking tumor, part of my language, was the size of a pea. Somebody in my local hospital knew about it, where I did surgery, knew I had a tumor, and didn't say anything to anybody as far as like, hey, have this checked out, have this looked at, have this monitored. They just made a note of it in my chart, and mum's the word. Like, at the time, I didn't have my chart, so I didn't know about it. Nobody said anything. So from 26 years old to 30 years old, 31, whatever, that 4.5, 5 year timeline, I went from stage 1 to stage 4, and I didn't even know I had stage 1 initially. And it went from a pea-sized tumor to a softball-sized tumor in that amount of time. So hopped on treatment. It was supposed to be a targeted treatment. And like I said, I really wish I had pictures or imaging I could show you right now on the laptop. I have not figured out how to do that via in a live. I know how to do that like in an edit on my phone, but I haven't figured out the technology behind it to show you. So please feel free to check out my Facebook. It's Anthony Hayduck, as you see on screen. Or you can go into my YouTube, which you already know, Chemo to Carnivore, and check out other videos. But during that 130 days of treatment, I aged drastically. Like, I went from 30 years old, 31 years old to looking like my father, 65, 70. The cancer spread, it multiplied. I have over 12 tumors inside of me now because, in my opinion, the chemo poked the bear because it was the wrong treatment. And what pisses me off the most about all this is now I am 3.5 years into this journey. 3 years would have been September, so another 4 or 5 months. 3.5 years into this journey with stage 4 GIST. And what I have learned recently is there is no man-made treatment out there through any, part of my language, through any fucking doctor's office or medical establishment or pharmaceuticals. There is no man-made medication, chemo treatment, etc. that'll work with the SDHA deficient GIST. And when I asked because I've been through 12 oncologists or 11 oncologists, when I asked one of these oncologists, well, why would so-and-so put me on treatment if they knew it wasn't going to work? Because I could look it up online right now with Google and type in what I'm dealing with and the medication they put me on, and they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work with that. So if I could figure that out, and also I found out at a cancer convention I went to recently through some other doctors and scientists, but it's like the doctor and scientist verified what I found out on Google. So if I am just an idiot who barely made it through high school and just has my high school diploma, how come this oncologist couldn't figure this out? Or if they did figure it out, they put me on a treatment anyway. The response I got was, thought it might work, shrugged my shoulders, you know what I mean? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not my fault. And during my decline, during chemo, I bought a cemetery plot. I did a will. Like literally, if I died tomorrow, everything is dealt with. Like my friends, my families, my supporters could grieve versus deal with the shit that I dealt with, having to deal with the cemetery, the paperwork, the legalities, which that's a whole nother topic for another day. All y'all should get your affairs in order so when the time comes you do pass, because nobody's promised tomorrow, your loved ones could grieve versus have to deal with the legalities. But during my decline of that 130 days, I was pissing blood. I spent 10 months pissing blood from December 2022 till September of 2023. I pissed blood daily. It wasn't all day long, but it was definitely daily. And I have videos to prove it. My parents are witnesses. I have other friends that are witnesses. I had seizures and convulsions on a regular basis. I got so fucking bad. Again, pardon the language. I have a foul mouth. I'm actually trying to behave myself. But the seizures and convulsions got so bad, I actually gave up driving for a while and had my parents chauffeur me around just because, it wasn't worth crashing my truck and hurting somebody over my ego wanting to drive when I shouldn't be driving. And then, like I said, I quit chemo January 31st, 2023. By February 27th, I was into the gym, local Anytime Fitness, got a gym membership. And within that month break from end of January to the end of February, that's when I made a big game plan. Actually, I made it within the first week of quitting chemo. I'm like, how am I going to be successful in this or die trying? And the game plan that I made was, first of all, I'm not going to be scared of the diagnosis. It's not going to control me. I said that in my very first day when I got diagnosed, like, I'm going to make cancer my bitch or I'm going to die trying. Again, pardon the language. But when I quit chemo, my game plan was I'm going to do different diets 3 months at a time, 2 months at a time, etc. between imaging, PET scans, CTs, etc. I'm going to be really disciplined and track my food, track what I'm eating to see what food groups will feed the tumors or not. Anyways, through trial and error and a bunch of scans and a bunch of discipline and a bunch of just a bunch of bullshit in life. I went vegan, plant-based, Mediterranean, of course, standard American most of my life. Keto, eventually carnivore. And before I tell you the results of each diet, I'm going to tell you the one that I hated the most and that had the worst results as far as how I felt. Vegan plant-based was the worst. I was the stinkiest I've ever been, constantly farting and having diarrhea and shitting. I was so stinky and so gut unhealthy, and my guts hated me. My parents weren't even allow me in their house as I was dying, because I was just quit chemo. I wasn't doing very good. They wouldn't even allow me in the house because I stunk so bad. So I'd stay in my trailer smelling like a cesspool, like a sewer system. And then once we got the results back that the cancer continued to grow and my blood work wasn't good during the vegan phase, I'm like, praise the Lord, I don't have to be on this diet anymore. This sucks. And so I was so stoked getting off of vegan, plant-based, and hopped on, I said, all these other diets, Mediterranean, keto, eventually carnivore. And out of all these diets, wild guess, it says it on the screen, chemo to carnivore. So I'm 31 months into carnivore starting tomorrow. And it has been the best way of eating for myself, not just to a cancer standpoint, but just in general, like my brain health, my sex drive, my heart, my muscle building, like I have never felt so good in my entire life as I do being carnivore based, fat adapted. And what I want to talk about that real quick is, hold on, new comment. Healing Creations PNW. Hey, it looks like it's going well. Thank you for your comment. It's going pretty good. And I'm actually have a few viewers. I'm stoked. Actually, another comment real quick says, my election collection. Seaford says doing 80% fat, 20% protein, basically carnivore. Do you use a keto mojo to track your glucose ketone levels of ketosis? Excuse me. So first of all, yes, actually, Seaford is right, and according to my understanding, so many people have carnivore misinterpreted. They think carnivore is just high protein, whatever amount of fat you want to eat, whether it's low, medium, or high. And again, this is my opinion from my understanding and research, but carnivore itself is supposed to be a high fat, low to moderate protein diet. So for example, I myself, if I am I probably eat a little bit more protein than I should, from a cancer standpoint. But for example, if I'm eating 3,000 calories a day, which I don't really count macros anymore, I'm trying to get 2/3 or 3/4 of those calories from fat and the rest from protein. Um, Fat is good for your cholesterol, and we need cholesterol. Cholesterol is what hormones are made out of. That's what your brain runs on. Um, what's crazy, real quick, is with those seizures and convulsions that I used to deal with on a regular basis after surgery and into chemo, once I started upping my fat intake, like by a lot, no more heart problems. And what's irritating about that is back before I went carnivore, when I learned about when I before I learned the power of fat and hormones and heart health from healthy fats, I seen heart doctors. I went through actually 3 different heart doctors, 2 locally, 1 out of town, and each one of these heart doctors had a pretty good education. One was even a specialist. I'd go in there, tell them I'm having these heart palpitations, afibrillation, irregular heartbeats, etc. And these stupid SOBs would prescribe me metoprolol or other types of heart medication to hop on, and none of it helped. Some of it actually made it worse. And once I went carnivore based, high fat, low to medium protein. I'm definitely medium protein. Like I'm not low on protein at all. I'm being honest about that. I should probably cut back on some. But once I went carnivore and high fat, the heart problem stopped. The AFib stopped. The heart palpitation stopped. The seizures stopped. The convulsions stopped. And when I went to my specialist heart doctor out of town and told him, hey, man, I don't think I need you anymore. I mean, like, you could do checkups once a year with me, but as far as like heart problems, I switched my diet around. Like, I'm telling him I'm super excited about all this, telling him about, my diet, how I'm feeling, how I'm, into the gym, feeling better in the gym than I was prior to. And I went on like a 10-minute lecture about how important carnivore is. Cause at this time, I'm talking to Carrie Mann, Jeff DeProsperous, all these other people. Blessings on my journeys, which is Jeff DeProsperous, by the way. I will always give him a shout out, dude. You are the reasons why I have a YouTube channel and why I'm pushing to make myself more vulnerable than I am. Heaven has an angel, and you are one of them, my friend. But back to the story is I explain all these cool, exciting feelings and how I feel through this diet change. And this heart doctor, a specialist, looks at me dead in the eye. Do you want me to prescribe you this particular heart medication again? I'm like, dude, I literally just poured my heart into you. Like, I got tears of joy running on how good I felt. And the only thing you fucking ask me is, oh, what prescription do you want? I'm telling you, I'm here because I don't need any more prescriptions. And I don't like, how do I phrase this? I love an open-minded doctor. I hate a closed-minded one. The closed-minded ones kill people. The open-minded doctors save people. It says Heidi said, but yes, back to what I was getting at is yes, I have a keto mojo to track my glucose and ketones. I am usually always in a low level of ketosis, sometimes moderate, depending on my protein intake. Like I said, if I did less protein, I would be in a moderate thing more often than not. I have my reasons why, though. That'll be a full whole nother episode. I don't want to spoil my thoughts. But when I went low protein, high fat, I myself didn't feel very good. So I went to medium protein, high fat, and I felt a lot better. But my Keto Mojo is definitely a very, very great tool to use to check your glucose and ketones. And the cool part about it too is as you do it and implement fasting, you could understand, okay, timing of meals matter, timing of drinking with meals matter. How much I eat in a meal, like all that stuff makes a difference. And Heidi B. Mary says, thank you for sharing your story. You're welcome. Um, and then Dr. Credit One, the only thing from keeping me from carnivore is gut health. I do some fasting and keto. And it says Jeff was the man. Yes, Jeff was the man. Like I had a fire lit under my butt prior to meeting him, but I didn't have any confidence in what I was doing because I was the black sheep in the crowd, so to speak, going against the grain. And where I live, going against the grain is you're the odd one out. And so when I met Jeff and came across Jeff, he poured gasoline on my fire to just want to do better and outreach more people and inspire more people. But my question for you, Dr. Credit, is what do you mean by you don't want to do carnivore because of gut health? If you add some fermented foods into carnivore like sauerkraut and kimchi, that will help put good gut microbacteria into your system. So, for an example of that, real quick, before I get back onto my story, is in the beginning of carnivore, I was still having sugar cravings, like bad. Sugar's 4 times more addictive than cocaine, and it's definitely not good for you. And so, how do I say this? Brain fart. Oh, with the sugar cravings. How I broke my sugar cravings in carnivore and fixed my gut health was by adding fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut. I don't do it every day, but every couple of days, once a week, twice a week, I just have a couple spoonfuls of something pre-fermented, even kimchi milk. Doing that after a while, no more sugar cravings. Like my gut health healed. The hardest part for me about carnivore was the adaptation phase in the beginning. It took me like 30, 40 days to get through it. Just because of the diarrhea, and I'm missing a gallbladder. So in the beginning of carnivore, I was actually taking a supplement called ox bile or some type of gallbladder support enzyme to help my body absorb the fat versus, part of my language, shit it out. I mean, I don't know why I apologize to you guys. You guys know I'm loud. You guys know I'm blunt. You guys know I have a foul mouth. I'm trying to behave, but that's just who I am. And it says, thanks, brother. That's exactly 100% what I was thinking. I'm going to go for it. I'm stage 4 as well, but still kicking. Bro, first of all, as long as you're kicking and you have the attitude and you're positive, to me, stage don't matter. Quite honestly, in my opinion, the vast majority of us in Earth right now, right in this moment, have an illness, whether it's cancer, diabetes, Crohn's, fucking type 2 diabetes, whatever. There's a lot of us walking around on Earth right now with an illness that's undiagnosed. And the moment they get diagnosed, they're going to have a panic attack and, oh, woe is me, or change my attitude. It's like, you didn't care when you didn't know about the diagnosis, and now you care. And this is a whole nother episode, but it's prevention versus fighting. Um, if I knew now what I know, if I knew back then what I know now, I would have changed my ways in my teen years when I had a voice of reason, and I guaranteed I wouldn't be in this predicament I'm in right now. It's easier to prevent getting cancer, or prevent getting diabetes, or type 2 diabetes, or preventing Crohn's. It's easier to prevent anything than it is to fix and heal from things. Like, hey, yeah, it just makes no sense to me. But yeah, definitely check into some fermented foods. Fermented foods work very well. And far as me, I don't, how to phrase this? I don't have much for dairy. I know some carnivores have dairy, some don't. I myself, if I do have dairy, it's unpasteurized. I get this white cheddar cheese. It's literally 3 ingredients. It's unpasteurized. It's got salt and it's got enzymes, and that is it. And then for milk, same thing, straight up milk. Like, you got to shake it because it's thick and curdly, or thick and creamy. And it doesn't stay in the fridge very long, so you got to drink it quick. So like, I am very meticulous on my choices of what goes into my body. But a quick summary, real quick, before I get into some more questions and a whole other topic, is through the last 3 years from quitting chemo, what I have learned, and this is, again, my opinion, none of this is medical advice. What I have learned is a body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest will deteriorate. Now, that goes for anybody, whether you're 100% healthy, or if you're fighting an illness of any type or a disease of any type. Now, just because I say a body at rest will deteriorate doesn't mean we don't need rest. We need good sleep every night, good quality sleep. Men have a different allowance of sleep than women because men's needs and women's needs are different. Respectfully towards women, y'all are a different creature than us men's, and your hormones are different, your needs are different, your recovery is different. So it is important to have good quality sleep. It is important to be one with Mother Nature and God. Whether you want to be full spiritual or slightly spiritual or not at all, that's your choice. But to believe in an upper power and a well-being of reasons, in my opinion, helps a lot. Even if you only believe when you're at your worst and don't believe on your good days, that's better than nothing, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to exercise, cardio is good. Strength training is superior. I say that because strength training gives you muscles. Muscles help protect your joints and your ligaments and your tendons and your bones, etc. Think of it this way. If I was 150 pounds and skinny, like I was when I quit chemo, with no muscle mass, I had a lot of inflammation, a lot of pain. And, the bones and tendons and ligaments, that's all they had, because there was no muscle mass for things to help protect and stabilize. But here I am 3 years later. Well, February 27th will be 3 years into the gym. And all the pain I used to deal with, and shoulder pain, back pain, hip pain, etc., all that shit is gone because now I have muscle mass to my body. Plus, the inflammation of what I'm eating isn't causing inflammation because of the food choices I'm doing. But all that muscle is like a shock absorber around the bones, around the ligaments, around the tendons, around, the cartilage, etc. Grounding is important. Like, grounding only takes a few minutes a day, and it's not that hard to do. Like, get up in the morning with the sunrise, or let me rephrase that. If you can't get up in the sunrise, great. But as long as you get up and you look at the sun itself or outside light before you look at one of these fucking cell phones or a screen or a TV, stimulate by seeing the sun before you see any fake light. And then step outside on the porch or on the ground or in the gravel. Just stand for 5 or 10 minutes barefoot outside and breathe in the nice fresh air. Grounding is important. We again, my opinion, but we are a salt-based current battery, so electrolytes are important. But grounding gives us a whole nother current. It currents us with the earth. We got some comments. Let me finish my train of thought though. Cold therapy is amazing. Like, I myself hate water, despise water. I'm getting better with it, don't get me wrong. So hate's not the right word, but I hate being cold. I don't like to swim. I don't like being submerged in water. And I am now over 1 year into cold therapy in my tank at 44 degrees or colder. I am 2 years into actually cold therapy in general, whether it's tank, shower, outside in the air. Like right now, it's winter time. It's 40 degrees outside. Go take your shirt off. Take your pants off. Put on some short shorts if you're a dude or your boxers, and just go stand outside until you get the shiver response and go back inside. If you're a chick, put on like a crop top and some shorts. Go stand outside when it's cold. You don't need the water for cold. You don't need the water for cold therapy. You can still do it with air. I mean, of course, the colder, the better in theory to a certain extent. But you're just looking for that cold response for so many reasons, from mitochondrial health to converting white fat to brown fat for blood flow. Like, there's so many benefits for cold therapy. And women, yes, you could do it. I've heard from so many women, oh, it's bad for us. They're just, part of my language, they're a bunch of pansies and don't want to do it. Male or female could do it. There's just different time allowances between male to female, from my understanding. So we talked about nutrition. I'm carnivore. Some people get away with keto, but there is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. What you put into your mouth doesn't need to be pleasurable. You shouldn't be looking for pleasurable things just to eat. You should be looking for nutrition. Our bodies are an engine. Just because it fits in the mouth doesn't make it food. I mean, I could put this mouth in my mouth and try to chew it. My body's not going to know what to do with it. So why would I put some bullshit food in my mouth that my body doesn't know what to do with? And it's like, I've been accused of steroids a couple of times because of my physique change in the last 3 years. I'm sorry, my diet's super clean. My diet's super nutrient dense, and my body knows what to do with the diet that I'm eating, my way of eating. I hate the word diet. So instead of shitting 2, 3, 4 times a day and leaving a turd in the toilet, which is gains you're leaving in the toilet, my body absorbs it. All that nutrients goes to my muscles, to my growth hormones, and makes me bigger and stronger versus deucing in the toilet 2, 3 times a day. I did an interview with Dave Mack, I think last year, a year before, I don't remember. And I made the comment, just because it fits in the mouth doesn't make it feel food. Nutrition matters. And I did a comparison of gas versus diesel. You have a gasoline truck and a diesel truck. Both have motors, both have fuel tanks. You put gas in the gas, motor runs. You put diesel in the diesel, it runs. But if you switch to fuel sources and you put diesel in the gas tank, it's not going to run. You put gas in the diesel tank, it's not going to run. And both are going to cause problems to the motor and fuel system. What do you think happens to the human fucking body? And I also said this to Dave Mack too, I think it was Dave Mack, it might have been Carrie Mann, but humans, one of the smartest creatures on earth, where we could invent things, make buildings, pave roads, build cars. We've even learned how to grow and make and print fake fucking food. but we're dumb enough to eat the shit that we make versus keep it natural. Like that to me blows my mind is, oh, yeah, my brain is smart. I could create this item out of thin air with these ingredients that aren't natural, print it out, make a fucking 3D printed patty or farmed fish or whatever. And then I think I could eat it without any repercussions. Our brains can't outsmart evolution. And so it's like my comparison to that, and this is going to piss off some people throughout the world, and it pisses off a lot of my friends or coaches at the gyms that I've gone to and trained at. That doesn't piss off everybody, but it pisses off a few is a lot of nutrition, and a lot of supplements, whether it's for health or for gym, is marketed. You could have a life-saving product that'll make you feel good forever, but if it's marketed bad and it doesn't make any money, nobody's going to buy it, and nobody's going to want to buy it, and nobody's going to build it. But if you have a shitty product that is harmful, but you could make it really cheaply and sell it for some money, and it's marketed good, the world's your oyster and everybody's going to buy it. It's my example of that is protein powders. You know, I go to the gym and people ask me, damn, you put on a lot of size and a lot of muscle since day one till now. What's your secret? What protein powders do you use, etc.? And I looked at him dead in the face every time. I'm like, I tried protein powders for about 3 months and said, fuck them, I'm done. And he's like, what do you mean? And I learned early on, especially because I'm missing some internal pieces for digestive reasons. I learned early on those protein powders, doesn't matter what brand it is, plant-based, meat-based, doesn't matter what it is, gets me sick. I'm gassy. I get bloat. I get irritated. And so instead of spending money on protein powders that I don't absorb that gets me sick, I eat real food. And guess what? From studies that I've learned or studies that I've seen, I wish I'll find them and post them on Facebook one of these days. But through studies I've seen, fake protein like powders, these Ensure shakes, all this crap that's marketed, you're only going to absorb 30 to 40 grams as a whole of protein. And then the rest you're just going to shit out and leave in the toilet because it's fake protein and your body doesn't know how to absorb it all. That's why you get the protein farts and the bloat and everything else. I mean, that's why a lot of these gym bros stink. But I could go down and eat 2 pounds of meat in one sitting, hypothetically. I mean, I don't do that very often because that's a lot of meat to eat at once. But I could put down 2 pounds of meat at a sitting, which is like 160, 180 grams of protein, and be fine. My body absorb it all. I won't have to go to the bathroom afterwards, and I won't have gas. And so that in itself, real food over supplementation always. Your body knows how to handle and break down real food over supplemented anything, whether it's powders or any of that crap. All right, so we got some comments that came in. Let me check out them. I wish I could pin them. I don't know how to yet. I can't read that. My election collection. Dave Asprey, parentheses, Bulletproof Coffee founder, says that if you have C8 MTC oil with grass-fed butter and high-quality coffee, it can definitely help gut health. So yes, MTC oil is good. I use that occasionally. You just have to watch how much of it because you will get the shits. At least I do. High quality grass-fed butter is amazing. If you guys have seen some of my YouTube videos or Facebook posts, I eat just Kerrygold off the stick. I know there is better brands than Kerrygold, but money's an issue and shipping's an issue. I would rather just go to Costco and get the Kerrygold Irish grass-fed. It tastes good and it's good for me. But yeah, I don't know about the coffee part. I probably haven't had coffee once or twice in the last 3 years. And then he says, at Healing Creations PNW, You have a strong mind and a good sense for things. You're doing a great job. It is so wonderful that you're able to share about all this to help many others see how you can do such things. Well, first of all, thank you for the comment. It makes me feel good, and it makes me happy that I could inspire others as much as I do. Quite honestly, if I had the funds, I would love to go get some certifications for like the carnivore course and lifestyle courses to help anybody change from any style of crappy diet to improve their life and well-being. I just don't have the funds for it. So the people that believe me and trust me and learn from me right now while I'm uncertified, you guys are my rock. You guys are my place I lean on because you guys believe in me. And what I'll say about that real quick is since day one, I've been posting about my life, the cancer, the journey. Not only have I talked the talk, I have walked the walk behind it to put everything in motion, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And I talk about what I've learned, my regrets, etc., for your guys' behalf. Respectfully, with all due respect and love to everybody, I don't think many people out there in this world are as tough as I am to go through what I've been through and survive and talk about it and be happy to talk about it. Um, I couldn't tell you how many fucking people in the last 3 years since I've been diagnosed, 3.5 years, that I've lost from any type of cancer. Dozens of people I've lost in the last couple of years from types of cancers. And just with the own type of cancer I deal with the same mutations I deal with, the SDHA deficient, I've lost 3 people that I've grown close to just in the last year. And it just goes to show you the truth of the matter of how fucking hard this journey is. Not just to do, but to do and talk about it and make these videos for everybody else to learn from. But I'm a firm believer God chose me for a reason, not just for my own growth, but I was the one that was tough enough to go through all this hell and come out the other side smiling, willing to help other people change for the better. If I had to go through it all over again in the same exact order, in the same exact scenario with all the pain, I definitely would, just to save somebody else's life or inspire somebody. But if I had the way to do it without having to go through surgery and chemo, that'd be even better. But without surgery and without chemo, I would never have the experience to talk to you guys about that stuff. And then we got at Heidi B. Mary says, dairy is dangerous for me. It can give me cravings. You can clobber raw milk. It it won't go sour like pasteurized milk. I'm gonna have to look what you mean by clobber, but yeah, raw milk that I get, I mean, it'll stay for quite a while. You just gotta shake it because the milk and the cream kind of separates. And then Doctor Credit One, do you intermittent fast or eat all day? So I eat in an 8 hour window. Usually, sometimes it's a 6 hour window. So that'd be intermittent fasting. Every month, I typically go 2 or 3 days no food. Sometimes I just do weekends only no food. If I'm being honest, I think it was back in November. I did a 10-day fast, just water only and electrolytes. And then I think day 3 of that fast, I had some really bad cramps. So I had a half a cup of bone broth or so. But which that didn't break the fast. It actually helped my ketones get better, and etc. Blah, blah, blah. But with that being said, I haven't done a prolonged, 3+ day fast since November. I've done 24-hour and 48-hour fasts, just short ones. I did 1 or 2, and I did 1 so far in January. I went at like 36 hours no food, and then in December I went 48 hours no food. The reason for that is because of my training in the gym. I understand cancer should be more important than my training in the gym, but I have this really big goal coming up on February 27th. And with that being said, going 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 days with no food prior to this goal didn't make any sense to me because it would screw up my goal. And I'll just tell you the goal. Long story short, I'm going to make a post about it too, soon, but February 27th is my 3-year gym membership. And I put my heart into the gym, blood, sweat, and tears. Like, I would rather die in a gym than die from the cancer. My goal for my 3-year gym membership is to pull 500 pounds off the floor in a deadlift, conventional style, not Romanian or not sumo, just conventional deadlift, 500 pounds, floor to waist. That's my goal. I've been busting my ass training for it. I have the confidence to do it. I have the strength to do it. I just have to keep enough food in the system to not lose any muscle mass before this event I'm doing. But with that being said, after February 27th and after I pull the 500 pounds off the floor, sometime either March or April, I'm going to do another 3 to 5 day fast, probably in March. And then my next screening for cancer is either end of April, beginning of May. So my goal is then to go anywhere from 10, 14 to 21 days, no food, just water and electrolytes only prior to the next cancer screening. Um, the reasons why I want to have a big break between these long fasts like that is watching these other people, and I mean this respectfully, Professor Sid Free or anybody else could correct me on my thought process. Actually, I would love somebody to correct me and hear their opinion, but the body could only handle so much stress at a time, and fasting is very good, but fasting can be stressful. Anything the body can be stressful. And to sum it up real quick is I've watched so many people strive for a low GKI number with the Keto Mojo device to get in a high level of therapeutic ketosis to fight the cancer, to shrink tumors, etc. And so far, most of these people have died trying to get a low number continuously. Blessed her soul, rest in peace. God has some angels up in heaven because of you. But I myself, I would love to have a low GKI numbers all the time, which is a high level of therapeutic ketosis. But to me, that is not, in my opinion, it's not substantiable to live and do what I do on a daily basis with the movements, the exercise, the training, my lifestyle. So that's why I break up the long fast months apart so I can not harm my body more than I already am, if that makes sense. Not that I'm harming it, I'm breaking it down to rebuild. When it says my electrical collection is combining the butter with MTC helps me with the shits. I love the face after the shits. It's hilarious. I'll have to try that. You, well, I mean, you do the butter with MTC and coffee, but I wonder if I could just warm up some butter and throw it in some water and throw some MTC oil together that way. I don't know. I'll have to give that a shot. And then our very last one so far, it says, my election collection. I'm about to graduate from Ken Berry's health coaching certification program. I never imagined that I'd be focusing my practice on metabolic health for cancer prevention and or help treatment. First of all, round of applause, buddy. Round of applause. All those programs, Ken Berry's, Kilts, etc. Amazing programs. I'm going to give a shout out to an old friend, whatever you want to call her. I met a gal last summer, Natasha, lovely lady. I learned a lot from her. And anyways, she has a metabolic clinic up in Canada somewhere. I'm not going to name the town because I don't know if I'm allowed to give her a shout out or not. But with this metabolic clinic, that's what she focuses is helping people with metabolic health, through food, lifestyle, exercise, etc. And that's where I got my nebulizing water bottle from. That's where I learned about how to actually mess with raw meat, grind meat, etc. I mean, I started doing raw meat prior to her, but it definitely intrigued me a lot more once I met her and went into depth with that. So the fact that you're doing a health coaching certification program and focusing on metabolic health is amazing. You're ahead of 99% of the world, in my opinion, because my thought process, how my brain works with all the information I've studied. And again, I have no certification, so I'm just talking out my ass. But with everything I've studied, what matters for true health and longevity of life, unless an accident or mother act of God happens, is mindset. You need to be positive no matter what. Your mitochondrial health, which is your powerhouse of your cells, your gut health, your gut backbone, that matters, and then your overall metabolic health. Those are the four things that are either going to keep you alive and thriving or keep you fat, sick, and depressed and cancerous or whatever else. Because, and a prime example of that is wintertime versus summertime. So many people prefer summertime over winter just because with summertime, you get the light, that helps with the mitochondria. It helps with your cortisol. It helps with your circadian rhythm. It helps you be more one with nature. All right. Anyways, I'm going to end this here in a few more minutes. So if you have any more questions, I'll give you guys 9 more minutes. So I'll be in 70-minute recording. So 9 more minutes and I'll bail off. So with any other questions, feel free to ask them now and I'll get through them. Dr. Credit says, do you know if it was the cancer that killed Jeff or the chemo? The reasons why I ask is his last video, he looked very healthy and then he was gone just a month later. So without stepping on people's toes and breaking promises, I'm going to answer that the best I can. I'm a firm believer, from what I've heard, from who I've talked to, from what I've learned, from what I've studied. My opinion on Jeff's passing, and I hate to talk about this, and again, it's my opinion, but my opinion with Jeff's passing is, respectfully, he was doing too much at once. He was doing chemo, he was doing carnivore, he was doing experimental stuff, he was doing all these metabolic things, gym, cold therapy, etc. And all of that stuff is good. Fasting's good. But at the same time, in my opinion, what are you doing needs to be very controlled and repetitive and studied. What I mean by that is, I hopped on mistletoe in 2023, September. I wasn't going to add another substance to mistletoe. I was going to let mistletoe do its thing and see how it interfered or reacted with things. And then 3 months later, 2 months later, whenever I did blood work and imaging, and I see how I reacted, then I would add another substance or another supplement or another whatever in. But I'm very controlled and calculated with what I put into my system and why. And my opinion with Jeff's situation is, a lot of his stuff was calculated and controlled, but at times he just got so amped up and excited to win, he rushed the battle. And the body could adapt. The body does need stress with certain stuff. But if you overstress it, especially when you're fighting such an illness as cancer, any type of cancer, whether it's just cancer, liver cancer, throat, bone, any of it, when you are already fighting an illness and you are overstressing the body without letting it recover before you stress it again, things could go haywire just like that. Now, I can't say what happened and what went haywire with Jeff. What I will say is I miss him. I love him. Shout out to his family. One of these days when I get the funds, I'd love to fly up and see you guys. But he didn't deserve to go as soon as he did. He was a heart of gold. I just wish, and again, this is my opinion, I just wish he would have slowed his roll a little bit and breathed and took things one at a time versus finding a new avenue and jumping on it right away when he didn't even finish his last avenue, if that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it without saying too much, you know what I mean? Um, but again, that's my opinion. I'm not saying that's what happened. That's what I just, from what I know, that's what I want to share. Um, Healing Creations PNW. I was just going to say that sometimes doctors don't have all the answers. Sometimes the most helpful ones come from nature. You seem to have that figured out. You are absolutely right that Healing Creations 100% correct with that. And I say that because you could spend 10,000, 100,000, $500,000 on an education, but that education will never, ever, ever, ever give you the power to understand how somebody else feels. That education just tells you how to treat certain things, or what I like to say, suppress certain things versus getting to the root problem. Prime example of that, when you have a cough, you have a cough for a reason, to break things out of your bronchial tubes and up. So what do? You take cough medicine when you go to the doctor, or they prescribe cough medicine when you go to the doctor. That suppresses your cough. So then you actually have that shit inside of you longer. And I'm not saying every doctor does that, but what I'm saying is, to go along with Healing Creation's comment, is natural in nature, 9 times out of 10 will know more than an educated doctor will on the proper ways to do things. Now, in a perfect world, my opinion would be Western medicine paired with naturopathic approach. Because there's a time and a place for Western medicine. It's just not every day. Um, to be blunt, I don't care if I get in trouble. Western medicine as a whole is nothing but a fucking drug dealer these days. They want people to be sick. I mean, they get into the business to help people, but all they're allowed to do legally is suppress people. Prescribe them this, prescribe them that. Everybody gets a cut. The pharmaceuticals, the doctor, the building owner, the establishment, etc. Everybody gets a cut, where we suffer from the shit they prescribe us versus getting to the root problem. Next comment says, my election collection, my business name is at Health for Purpose. I haven't created any content yet or post as a business. Once I graduate, I'll start the business side. Sorry, shameless self-promotion. Bro, there's nothing to be sorry for, first of all, and there's no such thing as shameless self-promotion, because whether it's today, next week, next year, fucking 5 years down the road, somebody's going to hop onto this live and re-watch this and read that comment and be like, damn, I'm going to look up Health for Purpose now, because they didn't know who the hell you were. So don't ever, ever, ever be ashamed for shouting yourself out if you're doing something positive. All right, 2 minutes left before I bail. Healing Creations PNW says, I totally agree. Instead of just covering it up, quick fix, look to the root, the reason for the symptoms, or I like to say the healing responses. Amen. Preach that. The root issue, once you get to the root issue, things can be resolved. If you just get to the branch or the leaf versus the root, you're just pulling that shit off. And guess what? That leaf's going to regrow, and you're going to have the same problem over and over and over again. And it's going to be continuous till you get to the root. For I myself, and again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm just a patient, or a human wanting to live. I don't even view myself as a patient anymore. But from what I've understood, cancer, according to my research and Professor Thomas Seedfried, cancer is a dysfunctional mitochondria disease. And through my own research, I have found out that GIST cancer, GIST, with the SDH8 deficient mutation, is highly a dysfunctional mitochondria disease. There's a lot of articles on that, and there's a lot of I found that out through the GIST specialist when I went to his meeting this last year. So, if the cancer I'm dealing with is a dysfunctional mitochondria disease, what's the root issue? Dysfunctional fucking mitochondria. Get to the problem. So, red light therapy, cold therapy, clean eating, positive thoughts, all these things to stimulate healthy mitochondria is why I'm stable and why I'm having success shrink shit. It just, to end this is overall health is a marathon, not an overnight race. And it took me many years to develop the cancer. It's going to take many years to disappear the cancer, to beat it 100%. It's like losing weight. You don't gain fat overnight. You're not going to lose fat overnight. It took you years to get to 500 fucking pounds. It's going to take you a couple years to lose that 500 pounds or a couple hundred pounds. You know what I mean? But enjoy the journey, make the best of every day, and be positive. I guess last one, it says, my election collection. Do you use an at-home red light therapy panel or do it at the gym? So as you can see, how do I see this? There's my finger. As you can see up on the wall, I have LED red strips. That's kind of a shitty point. There we go. I have LED red strips. Anyways, I have them in my living room, in my bedroom. So as soon as this live is over, these white lights are turning off, and I'll have just red lights on to help stimulate. It's time to wind down. No blue light. What's that? Circadian rhythm. And then, far as to answer your question, right now I go to the local gym and they have a red light therapy bed, and I just use that when I'm at the gym. I do want to get my own panel at home. I just have to save up the money. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my last question real quick before I bail off is, this is my first live I've done in quite a while. I've been having issues trying to find guests who want to participate and either telling their story or different topics. And so if you guys, whether now or send a comment after the live's over, what do you guys want to hear? What would you guys want to participate in? Do you want to hear about supplements that I take? Do you want to know about my exercise routine? Do you want to know like how I built the cold tank, etc.? If you want to be a guest on my YouTube one of these days, send me a private message on Facebook Messenger. Again, my name's Anthony Haydock on Facebook, but get a hold of me on Facebook. Send me a message on Messenger. Explain who you are, that I invited you to hop on a live on YouTube with me, and we could totally set up a live to hear your story, kind of like a mimic of Dave Mack, talk about life, wellness, mind power, etc. I'm not trying to copy anybody, but what I'm trying to do is continue spreading the wealth of knowledge. Carrie Mann, shout out Healing Humanity. I don't know if you guys see the hat. Yeah. Him, Dave Mack, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Shafee. Those are just a small fraction of everybody. Bella, Steak and Butter Girl. I could list like 80 different people right now that I communicate with on a off and on basis. Adam Lacey, the Carnivore Brothers, like all these people talk about things, impact people around them, and it is a ripple effect. So the more people, myself, you guys, anybody that not only invite guests onto the YouTube channel, talk about life and wellness and what they're doing to feel better, the more of us that talk about this stuff, the more it's going to get out there, the more it's going to consume the nation, and the more we're going to heal the nation, because people are going to be like, oh, damn, Joe Blow looks way better. What's he doing? And you're like, whoa, I hopped on a podcast for so-and-so the other year, talked about health and wellness, exercise and nutrition. And now I'm thriving, and it's going to motivate them to do better. So yes, get a hold of me, send me a message on Facebook Messenger, and we will get something scheduled in the future for anything. And that's mainly going to Dr. Credit number 1 right now, but there's definitely other people that will hop on, I'm sure. Thank you, guys. I'm going to end this. I appreciate the participation, And actually, a matter of fact, I'm going to give her a quick shout out. Healing Creations PNW has her own YouTube page as well. And she's very good at media and arts and stories. She plans to help me learn a little bit more about technology and how to do different stuff with the computer. So hopefully between her and some other people in my life that have been a big blessing, I can get better with these edits, get better with these videos, the lives. I'm actually trying to save up some money to get a better phone so I could actually have more recording space. I need to get a new laptop because my laptop I have is not compatible with the programs that I use. So the goal is to, in 2026, step up my social media platform to the point where I could get consistent with, a weekly live or a weekly recording on YouTube. Maybe twice a week, who knows, depending on the schedule. But I definitely want to up the game and help more people. Much love, everybody. Blessings. Y'all have a good night. Healing humanity. Yeah. By the way, shout out to Carl Day for the intro and outro of my videos that I'm not showing yet because I don't know how to put them on. But his YouTube name is Primal Lifestyle. Dude is a genius when it comes to intros and outros. You guys have seen him in the past, but love you guys. Have a good night. Eat meat, train hard. Hey, that's Christopher Brandlin's saying. I love it. It hits the truth, though. Y'all have a good night. Oh, fuck. I could set the outro video. Oh, what? Hold on. Oh, it's sick. I figured it out. I have to mess with that. Sorry about that. I learned how to do the outro video and intro video. There's when you click start stream and end stream, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see. There's a spot that says set intro and outro video. So what I need to do is I need to get the video that's off my phone saved to my laptop, and then I need to be able to figure out how to find it into a file and label it. Then I could set intro and outro. So that'll be my goal for next time, to do a live within the next couple of weeks with whatever topic you guys are thinking of, or maybe I'll bring a topic up myself. But my goal for my next live is to at least have an intro and outro set for my videos. Much love, everybody.